Anna Kendrick's last movie was Pitch Perfect 3, Blake Lively's was The Shallows, and Paul Feig's was Ghostbusters. I'm just saying they're all probably ready for a win. A Simple Favor stars Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively as accidental friends who come from very different worlds. After one of them takes a sudden trip, the mysteries start to unwind along with their lives. Paul Feig has a lot of experience with women in comedy, but can he pull off a comedy thriller? Well, here's 5 things you might want to know before you see A Simple Favor. I guess the answer is he mostly pulls it off. I had a decent time at this. Yes, there's some flaws here as well, but I think there's an enjoyable movie. Now, the first thing we'll start with could go either way, so we'll give it a yellow. Paul Feig is doing a Hitchcock impersonation here in many ways. There's supposed to be a thriller element to this movie. Now, the reason it mostly works for me is because I feel like he understands the formula enough to pay homage to Hitchcock in a decent way, and it feels right, throughout the movie. However, it could also be a negative because he doesn't understand the visual genius of the tension of a Hitchcock movie. How Hitchcock used visuals and spaces in moments to build dread and tension about the thriller, about the suspense. And Feig doesn't seem quite to grasp that. It's mostly paint by numbers Hitchcock, but Hitchcock is so good that even paint by numbers kind of worked for me. I can't go any further without going into the main reason I think this movie works overall. These performances. Blake Lively is incredible in this movie. The magnetism and electricity that she brings. And Anna Kendrick as well, as they're playing kind of these opposing archetypes of women in America, the mommy vlogger and the working mom, the single mom, all that kind of stuff here is really fascinating. And the words they're given to say to each other are just smart and quippy and interesting. And I think if this movie works overall for you, it's because of how good these performances are and how good these two are together. One of the other things I really loved about this movie is the music. Now, I don't often mention scores or music in these 5 things because generally it's supposed to kind of be in the background. You're almost not supposed to notice the score if it's doing its job right. But the music here is so interesting and so crucial to the tone and feel of this movie. He makes a choice, whether it was Feig or a music director or whoever, to use these French pop songs, I'm going to say, throughout the movie. And there's something so ethereal and interesting and, yes, mysterious about them that it perfectly plays into what this movie is trying to do. So when a movie does something special like that, I do think it does deserve a mention, and it certainly is one of the reasons I enjoyed the film. The other thing I really enjoyed, and there may be some disagreement on this, but I love the plot of this movie. I really like the actual structure of the story. Now, let me make a distinction, because the execution of that plot has some needs and is iffy, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But the actual bones of what's going on here, I think is kind of smart. I really enjoyed the twists and turns of these characters and what plays out in the relationships and what other people think of other people and when they learn certain things, when we learn certain things as an audience as it relates to when they learn them, I think is very important in this movie. So the structure of it, I think, is actually solid. And I had to give the movie props for that because a lot of movies don't understand how to tell this kind of story. And I think at its foundation, this movie really did. So let's get into the big negative of the movie. And I think it is a decent sized one. The humor doesn't work. Not necessarily that, because it actually could have worked in a different movie. I'm not sure these things that happen throughout the movie are unfunny. It's just that they don't match this beautiful tone of the rest of the movie. So it feels a bit of a mess, especially towards the end. Where they would be funny in a different movie, here they're distracting because I want to be into the tension, right? I want to be into that story I talked about, but the movie is trying to kind of force feed me these hilarious moments every once in a while, and they just interrupt any possibility at tension. So this movie throughout, I'm getting into it, and then something will happen, I guess that's kind of humorous, but it didn't feel right. There's a mismatch there that I think damages the movie overall. Overall, I feel like this movie, A Simple Favor, is a good one. It's a good watch. There's a lot of fun to be had here. I had a good time with these performances, especially. But there's enough distraction here in the humor that it brought it down to a B for me. Thanks for checking out this Your Movie Friend review. We'll get to the Best Ever Challenge here in a bit. Before we do, though, let's hang out further. Hit me up on Twitter, @AaronDicer, AaronDicer. We can talk movies there. That's where I hang out the most on social media. If you do the podcast thing, I would highly encourage you to check out our podcast. It's called SiftPop, SiftPop. Just search for that in your podcast player. You should find it pretty quickly. That's a weekly podcast, pop culture. Lots of fun. Hope you enjoy it. And feel free to hang out at YouTube, leave comments, have a good time, subscribe, hit the alert bell so you know when a new review is out. It's always very helpful for you to know that and for me to have the views come in. So thank you for doing that. And thank you especially for those who support this financially. Got some perks up at Patreon. If you think about giving $3 a month to help this thing continue. If it has any value to you, if it's ever saved you $8 on a movie ticket or given you a good movie experience, I would appreciate that and am humbled by the fact that people do that. So patreon.com/yourmoviefriend is where that is at. All right, on to the Best Ever Challenge, where you name the best movie ever in a particular category. Also try to identify my choice. Let's go with Blake Lively. What's the best Blake Lively movie ever? I'm going to have to go with the one where she stars alongside Hawkeye and Batman. I don't think that's any surprise. You can take a guess at mine in the comments. First person to get it right does get a point. I'd love to hear your choice as well. And as always, I'll give you a few extra seconds here to hit subscribe. All you got to do is click my face.